Hello and welcome back to Grapple Theory. Thanks so much for joining us today. Now today, as usual, we've got a very special guest joining us. It's Gary Ward, the founder of Wrestle Carnival. It's a very new promotion. It just started in Nottingham. They've only had a couple of shows so far, but they've got a huge show coming up in October. Pure wrestling. It's going to have Jon Gresham. It's going to have Jordynne, Grace, Chris Ridgway, Alex Windsor, Charly Morgan, Jetta, and many, many more. We're going to be talking to him all about this star-studded show, his favourite parts of the Brit Wrest scene, and his time in wrestling, which has spanned plenty of time. I won't go into exactly how many years. I'm not sure he'd appreciate that. But Gary, thanks so much for joining us today. Talk to us about Wrestle Carnival. Started a couple of months ago. How is everything going?
Well, it was ready before the pandemic, so there was no really we were doing it during it, but I guess the planning and we're going to run, no, we're not going to run, we're going to do this, no, we're not going to do this. That was probably the most difficult parts. And it was just really just knowing when you can go and go for it and do it. And obviously we did August 1st. I tried to go earlier, but it wasn't possible. And then I was even thinking about not doing anything at all this year, but then I thought, let's just go for it. But in terms of the planning side of things, it was just exactly the same really of what I did with WrestleGate. It was exactly the same. There was slight differences in terms of talent I wanted to use, just because of obviously the borders and that essentially were closed. But I wanted to make sure that we start with a bang, and then I think we did that last month, and then hopefully on Sunday it'll be even better. Really, I've already sold more tickets than I've ever sold ever, which is great.
Oh, fab! Well, that's great to hear. And I mean, moving into that, did you mention that experience with WrestleGate as well? How much did that help you in terms of getting ready with Wrestle Carnival and setting it up, and having learned from what had happened with WrestleGate and what you can improve, what you can change, etc., things like that?
Yeah, anything you do, you can learn from. There was aspects of it that I learned loads from. There was aspects I didn't really learn anything from. If anything, I probably learned more about myself than anything else. I really knew that I could do this, and I could do this on my own, or I could do it with people. But there was lots of little things behind the scenes you kind of learn that kind of people don't really know or notice. And I've said before, as a promoter, there's no book, there's no DVD, there's no seminar. You don't get Gabe Sapolsky doing a seminar to promoters or Triple H. You could have Jonathan Gresham come and do one for all the wrestlers, but you don't get anything that for promoters. So it's really difficult. A lot of it is trial and error. And I trialed and now I'm doing my own thing, and so far so good. This is only our second show, so it's not too carried away, but anything you do is trial and error, and I think this is the same. Hopefully you don't try something too much that you can't get back out of it. So touch wood that hasn't been the case so far.
No, absolutely. And you mentioned that, and sort of building on that, and you mentioned as well sort of that apprehension of should we run a show now, should you wait till next year, that sort of thing, and then one show. So once that first Wrestle Carnival show happened, you must have been delighted with both the show and the reaction that's happened since as well.
And there was a lot on the show that I wasn't happy with, if I'm honest.
Really?
It was really like the before it. There was just anything that could essentially go wrong. The power wasn't going. It was a new set. It was a new venue. So it was only the third time I'd been in that venue. So it was. I changed the setup at last minute. The power issue. And it was boiling hot in there anyway.
Was it?
So it was really hot. But it just, for me, I don't like if I'm going to say the doors are open at X time, that they need to be open at that time. And I was slightly delayed, and I just hated that. So from sort of that perfectionist style point, I didn't really like that. And there was a little few things that I didn't like, but they were just because of that's kind of how I am. There are all things that nobody has even mentioned, has even said anything. So to be fair, nobody's noticed it. So that's great. But
it's all you. It's all up here.
Yeah, and then you take that into this one on Sunday. Hopefully, this one will run a lot more smoothly. Like, it's the first wrestling event the venue had ever done, so they wasn't. It was all new for us all. There was a lot of people coming off of like 2 years nearly of not doing anything, so everybody was a bit sort of rusty. And I kind of just put it down to rust. And we're all a new team, and we're just sort of getting into the swing of things. In terms of the show, the matches and that were all great, and everybody seemed to have spoke so highly of it, which is very kind, and I'm delighted with. And I hope we can just keep that run on for the next sort of few shows we've got left for this year, and then hopefully into next year.
Fab. Yeah, absolutely, and I'm sure you will. You mentioned the venue, and I want to sort of go off on a tangent onto that for a sec, because I remember before, obviously, Wrestle Carnival set up, you were posting on Twitter a lot that you were, traveling a few places looking for that ideal venue. Why eventually did you settle on Nottingham and the Portland Centre as well? What was it about the city and the venue that sort of really drew you?
I ran Nottingham the whole time when I was run WrestleGate. Nottingham, I don't live anywhere near Nottingham. I live in Cambridge, so I live like 2.5 hours away. I don't know why. It just seemed to be a city that I just seemed to take to. I really enjoyed going there. I enjoyed going there as a fan to watch shows, and I just wanted to keep putting shows on there. And once we'd built that I'd been going there, for that 2019. I thought it was silly to try and go anywhere else. I would like something more local, more closer to home. There is a couple of options for me. London's always been a sort of an attraction, but London is just stacked with so many people and real bigger names like Rev Pro, Eve, Progress, things like that. And it's just like, for a brand new promotion like us, we're just kind of get eaten alive likely. So I want to start small. I think ambition wise, I always have to keep trying to pull myself back from doing things. And so I want to start relatively small and keep within a place that I know. And so we went with the Portland Centre in Nottingham. Big reason why we didn't stay at the other places just because of pricing. I don't know why they put their price up 500%. I've absolutely no idea, but
ridiculous.
They lost out on a regular booking and a few hundred people coming into their facility all the time, and that's business, I guess. Portland Centre have been great. They're owned by Notts County Football Club, and they've been fantastic so far. Yeah,
and you mentioned that as well. You mentioned as well that it was the first wrestling show they'd done. What was that like? That sort of initial conversation where you went to them and said you want to put on a wrestling show. Were they quite up for that, or did it take a little bit of convincing?
No, they lapped it up. To be fair, they were very interested in it. I think the lady there that runs it. She has done boxing and things, so they were very aware of sort of that type of industry in a way. But they were very excited to have it. They have been since. They're advertising it a lot for us, which is unbelievable. There was a lot of sort of to and fro-in. That's just because different people that were in charge, etc. But once we sort of got things now down, they've been tremendous. Like the Jon Gresham show, I didn't have that originally booked, but I just spoke to them and said they just said you can have the venue any day you want. So that if you've got a venue that wants you there, that's fantastic.
This will go out obviously after the show's gone tomorrow. So let's talk about that show. So how did that show then come about? Was it the fact that Gresham was available and you were like, I've got to do something with it?
Yeah, pretty much. He DM'd me and said, I'm going to be in Europe at this date. Do you have anything? And I said, no, but I'll make something. And I said, do you want to work? I'm assuming you want to work with me because you've asked me. And he told me when he was here, and I said, give me a day, and it took me about 20 minutes. To be fair, I put a card together pretty quickly. To be fair, I work night shifts. I do noon till midnight.
Right.
So a lot of the time, and mine's a reactive job. So I wait for things to come to us. So it's like breakdowns and things like that. I work for a company. We look after refrigeration units. So if a refrigeration unit in a vehicle goes down, I send the engineers out. So a lot of it is just reaction. So I get a lot of sort of time where I'm sort of sit around. So I'm always planning shows and writing things down. So I never expected that to come, but you're obviously playing for scenarios. So it was a case of, all right, okay, give me a day, and I messaged the venue, like I said earlier, and they said you can have that. You can have the venue all day on a Saturday. It's not even being used. It's never used apparently on a Saturday, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because it's owned by Notts County, I think a lot of the people there go to the games and stuff.
Sure. Yeah, makes sense.
Fair enough. So you're happy to have the venue. That was easy, and then it was just quick putting a card through in my mind, just checking with some people, and then just saying, look, this is the opportunity that's come up. Can we do it? And then put some graphics together, and in a couple of days, that's pretty much, that's done. My insurance, you have like an insurance per show, or like for a block amount of shows. I always overbook that in a sense. So I'll tell them I'm doing like 10 shows when I'm actually really doing 6, and that's just in case of something like this. So I don't have to worry about like booking more. But yeah, it wasn't in my calendar at all. So I'm doing more than I really wanted to do this year, but I think the opportunity there was too great to say no. And then obviously another opportunity with Jordynne Grace came along a few days later, and it was like, okay, well, these are definitely something I can't sort of say no to.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, obviously even when it's not planned, obviously it's great that you were able to put it together so quick, but when you've got stars like Gresham and Grace coming over, it's sort of an opportunity you can't pass up.
No, I don't, and I tried to not really pass up on anything really. I obviously didn't pass up on Hangman Page being available. I won't really pass up on a lot of things unless I physically can't do it. Like I was offered something yesterday, and it's not something I'm going to be able to do. And this is in a way helping somebody else, and it's just something I can't do. But there's always cases where you can't do something. I just felt so strongly that with Gresham being available, the Ring of Honor sort of friendship there as well, and quickly spoke to Delirious at Ring of Honor and said, look, this is the opportunity I've got. Would you like the footage again and put it on your show? And as soon as they sort of say yes, then it's that for me was the sort of seal of approval, really.
Fab. So in terms of that initial DM that you got from Gresham, up until however long it took you to sort of like finalize everything, how quick did you get it done? How long was that process?
Probably the same day. I probably, in terms of bookings, it was the same day. Because I knew as soon as he was available, it was going to be Ridgeway, and so my first instance was, right, let's speak to Chris, and if he's available, and he was, so okay, that's that done. And then it was looking at, okay, what am I going to do with the show? So you try and have ideas of how to book the show. And my idea is what I really like is pure wrestling, and it's that technical style. So I thought, let's do a show that is pure, and let's do something. And I thought, pure sounds a good name. Let's go with that. And then it was, let's look at other people around that could work that style. So we looked at Jetta, and we looked at Charly Morgan, and then some other people that I haven't announced yet. And then Jordynne Grace became available, and I had already booked Alex Windsor as well. And I was like, that would be just a perfect match. And things just fall into place once you kind of get that initial idea. I think one person I had in mind for that show ended up saying, I actually have double booked myself. But then you always have other people in mind. You always kind of have that in the back of your head, like, okay, if someone can't work that, these are sort of the next people I'm going to look at. But I would say probably that night or the next day, easily, it was sort of done. And I think graphics were then made and everything.
Amazing. Quick turnaround.
Yeah, it's just kind of how I work, really. I kind of get a bit excited about things. I need people to sort of rein me in sometimes, unfortunately. But I just get a bit excited. I just want it done, and I want to get it out there, I've never done shows that are back to back, as in month to month to month. I've always had a month break. So even what I'm doing now is a bit like worrying, and you're a bit like, oh, God. But yeah, it's been great. And people have really taken to that show so far. Tickets are going quite well for that.
Amazing. So let's talk about, because we'll talk about the rest of the show as well, but let's talk about those two sort of marquee matches, I guess, Gresham Ridgeway and Windsor Grace. Obviously, Gresham and Grace, everyone knows, huge names, incredible talents. I think for my money, pound for pound, probably two of the best wrestlers in the world at the moment, especially on the indie scene.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to have them, and then to have them, like you say, go up against Ridgeway and Windsor. I mean, two phenomenal talents as well. What can you say for them, and why they're sort of the ideal opponents for the likes of Gresham and Grace?
I think with Chris, I think that is just the match that everybody wants. I think that he's gaining more and more of a reputation as just such a good technical wrestler. He's always been good, but it's getting more and more that he gets out there, you know, sort of progress things he's doing and his trips to Noah. And it's just, that is the match that people wanted to see, I believe. And I thought that this would be a dream scenario in a way for someone to come back into the UK. We haven't really had many huge import name or big names. And I think that he's probably the biggest name that's coming in so far since the pandemic. And I thought that let's put on the biggest match we could. And I think Chris is that. And I think, to be honest, it's the same with Jordynne. I think when Jordynne was available, immediately I had a couple people in mind, but every time I was thinking about it, just, to me, it was always Alex Windsor. She was on such a great run prior to her injury, obviously with progress. And I'm not sure if there was any contact with anybody else, but I would be surprised if no big company was trying to sort of sign her up and things like that. And she's just a phenomenal performer. And now that she's back, I just wanted to put her in as many positions as I could, to be completely honest. She's placing high now on Sunday for the Heart of Shimmer Championship, and then she's got Jordynne here on this one, and then you know, we'll see where we go next year. But she's just outstanding, and I think again it would be a great match, something that people are going to look at and think, oh yeah, I didn't think of that match, but I actually really want to see that. That's what we've got to try and do.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, it must be nice to sort of booking Alex like that, and then obviously, you know, having seen how she did at Eve on her comeback, and I mean, I think, you know, we tweeted about it. You know, she's been gone 4 years. It didn't even look like she'd been gone 4 weeks. It was just that natural. She just went back into it so easily. It was incredible.
Yeah, she's very, very good. Very good. I think she's one of the top people we have, really, in says, regardless of gender. And yeah, like you said in the Eve match, she just looks so good. And she'll only get better the more she performs and gets more comfortable back being in the ring. So hopefully Sunday will be a really good match, and then she'll sort of go on and face Jordynne, which and Jordynne's, you know, Jordynne, so she's going to be great, whatever happens, to be fair.
Amazing. And you just saying that you mentioned that I'd want to pick up on, obviously I'm not sure if you'd be able to say or not, but with Gresham, with the match, because you mentioned, is that going to be his first match back in the UK, or like in this run that he messaged you about, has he got others coming up? Or
he's only working for us.
That'll be his first match back in the UK.
Yeah, he's only working for us. He's coming in that day, and then he's leaving.
Amazing. Well, that's even more of a coup, isn't it? That's incredible.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah,
and that must be for us. So, and that must be nice for you as well, in the fact that, you know, we work with WrestleGate, and you obviously run Grapps Apparel as well, and you've got such a good connection with wrestlers sort of across the world. It must be really nice for you to see that those wrestlers then come to you and are like, oh, I've got these dates free, do you want to work with me, things like that, as well as you just going to wrestlers and wanting to book them.
Yeah, it is really nice, especially when it's people of that sort of caliber as well. I'm not saying that you know, anybody else is less, but you know, he's on national TV, he's on pay-per-view, and things like that, and he's not the only one that has messaged me. I've had loads. It's just, unfortunately, I can't put everybody. I can't do all of it. I wish I could. I just need to be really cautious with what we do to start with. We can't do too much, and then it's 2022. We can't do anything. So yeah, it's sometimes I don't understand it, and I can't understand it. I find it a bit strange, but then a lot of things seem to be happening at the video, and I can't understand why it's me or us, and you know, but I'm certainly not complaining.
No, absolutely not. Let's talk about the third match that you've, at the time of recording, announced for the show, which was obviously Charly Morgan Jetta, and you had a bit of a sort of a viral nature to it when you posted it. Obviously, if anyone saw it, I wouldn't say it caused a backlash as such, but there were a couple of people commenting about it, the usual sort of thing you get. But overall, I mean, it's an incredible, marquee match. You probably argue that if Gresham wasn't on the card, that would like be a marquee match in itself. So before we get into any of the the reaction it got, what can you say for Jetta and Charly Morgan? Charly Morgan, like Alex Windsor, someone who made a return at Eve and is coming back now into wrestling after a while out, and the reaction she got was amazing. And what can you say for those two and that match and how well it's going to work, and what made you want to book it essentially?
So I've been trying to work with Charly since I originally contacted her in 2018. So I wanted her on the original stuff that I was doing, and we had agreed a few dates, I believe, and then she got injured and it never happened. And yeah, Jetta reached out to me and sort of said, would you be interested in working with me? And she sent me some videos, which again, I find strange to people of her sort of caliber, but thank you, and I'll watch, but I know who you are and things. And I said, yeah, absolutely, definitely interested, and sort of interacting from there. And then Charly was the same. She reached out and said, I'm back now. I'd like to try and work some more. And she's been out for a while. Obviously, she retired rather than just being injured. And we started talking and went over some ideas. And we kind of just felt that while she's still new coming back or still returning, it's going to be more comfortable working with someone that she knows better than anybody in the world. So for me, that was good. I wanted to put them both in a match that they're comfortable with, they're happy with, and that they're going to be in there and they can do what they want to do, but they're comfortable and they're safe and things like that. They're not going to be safe for anybody else, but if you're going to be with your wife or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whatever, they're the people that know you the most, the best in the world. So for that, it was great. And I said, this is going to be something like pure. We want to make this, who's better? Wrestler 1 or Wrestler B? Wrestler 1 or Wrestler 2? And it's the same with the Gresham and Ridgeway. It's the same with Alex and Jordynne. It's the same with the other two matches. And I pitched that. How about we do who's the best, Wrestler 1 or Wrestler 2? And they loved that. They enjoyed that. And they asked me Charly said, I'd love to smack Jetta around. And I said, do you want to do that match then? And she said, yeah. So I was like, okay, this is my idea. It's pure. Let's see who's the best wrestler out of the two of you. And they loved it and they enjoyed that idea. And so, yeah, we went with it. And they sent me some articles that people would write. I think SB Nation had wrote a couple of articles about them. And so I quoted that. And unfortunately, as happens with everything, there's always one person that disagrees, and unfortunately, that's their opinion, and I disagree. But that's life. Unfortunately, we could sit and talk about football, and you probably like one thing, and I probably like the other, and it's just life, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, absolutely, exactly, and that's the thing, isn't it? You're obviously any negative feedback you get, and the thing is you sort of picked up on it there, is that wrestling, it's not boxing, it's not MMA, it's a theatre performance, it's an act essentially, and whilst there is an athletic element, like you mentioned, you're always going to be more comfortable with the people you know better. You're always going to have that support, that backup, and that person looking out for you, which is what wrestling's all about. So there's not really any sort of negative connotation to it. It's essentially just two people putting on a performance together.
Yeah, they're not going in there, and they're not legit. I mean, Charly said it in jest. She's not really going to go in there and smack her around. It was just like that was type of thing you would say. I wouldn't mind doing that. And yeah, they're going to obviously they hit each other, but it's going to be in a performance. It's just like you watch a movie. You watch a documentary, and I mean, there's some horrendous things that happen in movies. I mean,
yeah, but people don't pick up on it in that respect. Yeah, I
don't get that. It's just different. This is just a live theatre production in front of you that just so happens that has physicality in it. I understand that people desperately want to still believe that there's that real element to things, and it's still real to me, and that guy, and it is, and I get very emotional about things, and I get really excited about things, but you still need to understand that it's not they're not actually trying to hurt each other. We need to sort of kind of understand that. I'm not going to put two people in there that absolutely hate each other. You know, there is obviously people in the world that dislike each other. I'm not going to put a match on where I know there's something going to happen. It's ridiculous. And yeah, like I say, everybody has their opinion. They're absolutely entitled to opinion. Not a problem at all. I don't mind negativity. It's fine. I don't like when people get sort of name calling and disrespectful to people for their opinion. Yeah, I just that's not needed, and I think social media has too much of that. If you disagree with someone, disagree and don't attack them for whatever. I don't like that, and I think that's the only real negative thing that came out of that announcement. Unfortunately, the person that disagreed with it was attacked slightly for a few people, and I did ask, sort of, can we stop this? This is just not right, you know. But unfortunately, social media, especially Twitter, is just...
It can be a toxic place.
An awful place at times. I think it's the best tool in the world. I think it's also the worst tool in the world, and we just need to use it right. But yeah, I myself, Jetta and Charly Morgan put that match together. They essentially asked for that match, and I thought, this is great. This will be fantastic. And it matched the idea behind the show. And I'm really looking forward to it. Like you say, it could main event. You know, you got Eve world champion and you know, the ace of Eve as well on there. So it's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned it as well. Let's talk about you mentioned in the tweet, it's a huge match for LGBTQ representation in wrestling, because, you know, we've spoken to a couple of other wrestlers about this as well, but, you know, it hasn't been since the last sort of, you know, maybe 2, 3, 4 years that LGBTQ representation in wrestling has really been pushed and been brought to the spotlight, and more have been booked, which is obviously so important. And so to have this match, to have it be, you know, two partners going up against each other in this matchup, it's a fantastic representation as well.
It absolutely. You know, look, I'm a straight married guy. I understand everything else, and I understand that we need to be doing all we can to raise awareness to these things. There could still be people out there now that are performers that are not open about their sexuality. Something like this might even help. I can be open, and I can still work with people, or I can work with a partner or something. You know, and there may be two people that have not opened up about it. I don't know, but they may very well be somewhere in the world, and this might help them. And if it helps one people, that's fantastic, and it raises the awareness that you can do these things. There's no, like, I generally don't look at race. I don't look at sexuality. I don't gender. I don't look at any of that. I just think of the card. I think of the idea, and then I think of the performance, and then I go from there. And sometimes they match up so well like this, and sometimes I'll make a match or I have an idea, and people close to me will be like, it's just not going to work. You know, I've had some crazy weird ideas before, but yeah, this one I just felt was perfect. It allowed Charly to be more comfortable that she's back, she's with someone she trusts, you know, above everybody else. It allows them to get more reps in because they're still, you know, returning. Allows them to come to a different market, allows them to both work for a different promotion, allows them to work together. And they're both fantastic performers and wrestlers. It was a no-brainer for me. Regardless of their sexuality or gender, I still would have done that anyway. So it's just one of those. Yeah, I hope it helps. And I hope it allows people to realize that you can put these things on, and, you know, if you can be open with your sexualities, and you aren't going to be treated anything different. Certainly not by myself. Obviously, I can't speak for everybody, but, you know, certainly not by me. I just don't look at those things. It doesn't. If that's wrong, then it might be wrong, but it just doesn't. They're not factors in my mind that, okay, I need to do. It's not a tick sheet, if that's correct. Yeah. I don't. That's not how I work, and To be honest, I'm really looking forward to the match.
Yeah.
It got so much good reaction. It actually sold a lot of tickets.
Did it?
So I'm happy.
Amazing.
The girls are happy.
Oh, that's fab. And then, you know, moving on as someone who, again, we mentioned you work with WrestleGate, and you've got this now, and you work with you own Grapps Apparel, and you've obviously got a full-time job as well. So you clearly like to keep busy.
Yeah, I mean, I work 4 on 4 off, so my 4 on is pretty much just my work, and then in the evenings when it's a little bit less busy, I probably interact with talent. I try and watch as many videos as I can and do things like that. And then my 4 off, like today, for instance, I'll do interviews, or I'll show prep, and I'll book shows, I'll graphic design, I'll make posters, graphics, design T-shirts, and just do as much as I can, really. At the minute, I need to do some more things. I think I need to start sort of training myself how to video edit. That's kind of my next thing. I did sort of say to myself I was going to do that in lockdown and just didn't do it. But that's going to be my next sort of project. I'm probably looking to start that after this show on Sunday, sort of be able to do things like that. But yeah, I like to keep busy. I'd like to be honest, I'd like to be doing this as a full-time job. I think I'd be able to dedicate more time to it and be a bit more successful, maybe. But again, if this is it and tomorrow or Sunday was the last show, I'd be happy with what I've done in wrestling. It's just doing one show was my dream, and I did that. So everything else from there is sort of a bonus. And then kind of when you get in, you set yourself new goals, and to be fair, I've pretty much matched most of those. So I've got maybe one left that is like an ultimate dream. But yeah, it's busy. You can see my inbox.
Let's move on. Let's move back to obviously, you know, wrestling and shows. If I would say to you now as a point blank question, you know, money's no object. You can book anyone for the next Wrestle Carnival show. Let's say indie. Let's say someone who's not booked, like no one who's, you know, AEW, WWE. Let's say an indie star. If I said to you, no, money's no object, who would you want on that next show? Like, you know, money's no object, time's no object, flights are no object, nothing like that.
Okay. And so they're an independent wrestler, or are they?
Yeah.
Are we talking non-WWE?
Yeah, let's say one indie and one who can be signed, say AEW or a WWE guy or something like that.
Davey Richards. It would have probably been Lee Moriarty, but he's just signed. To be fair, it would have been Daniel Garcia, but I don't know his contract status. As far as I'm aware, he's still independent, but I don't know for 100%, but I know Davey is. And so I'd sponsor Davey for Grapps Apparel, but Davey is just someone I've absolutely loved watching for absolutely years. Absolutely gutted that I missed him on one show that I was helping Southside. So I got into wrestling with Southside, and the one show he was on, I missed, and I was gutted because he's one of my favorite wrestlers. I have like his Ring of Honor DVDs, best of, and I really wanted to get him to sign it. It sounds really cringy now if I go up to him, but I'm sure he'll be fine. He has been incredible actually since he came back to wrestling. He approached me about Grapps. He wanted to be part of something, try and help someone new. And when I had COVID, he was DMing me sort of some advice and just checking in on me a couple of times a week. And those things go a long way with you. You know, there's a lot of people that do those things, and it's really nice. And so I think Davey Richard would be right up there in terms of a signed talent. I've always wanted to work with Kenta Mirahara from All Japan. I tried for like 18 months to get him. I basically was able to, but there was conditions involved in it, and it was just we couldn't do it in the end. We had Shuji Ishikawa and Jordynne come over, and then it was that we were trying to look to bring Kento in. He would be someone huge on there. Obviously, people like Kenny Omega and things like that. It's kind of a given, but a bit outside of the box, I guess. Kenta Mirahara would be, so that he's one of my favorite wrestlers to watch. I think he's awesome. But I mean, him and Davey would be pretty good.
That'd be an amazing match for sure. I mean, you mentioned the stuff with Davey there. That must be almost like a sort of pinch yourself moment to have this wrestler that you've watched loads and you think is amazing, and and then all of a sudden they're sort of like your friend. You chat to them just regularly, and you work with them quite close. There must be quite a pinch yourself moment for someone who's by your own admission sort of like grown up being a big wrestling fan.
Yeah, I'm just a wrestling fan. I'm nothing I'm not anything other than that. I'm just a wrestling fan that puts some shows on that essentially people seem to like, or the designs and brands that we do, people take to. And there's been a couple of pinch moments. The Ring of Honor stuff. Like, Ring of Honor is my favorite company in the world, and has been for a decade or so. I mean, I'm wearing a Ring of Honor shirt like now. It's just like I've probably got Ring of Honor on one of these tabs on this laptop where I have there Best in the World 2012 I'm watching. So it's just outside of me booking wrestling shows, when you say, oh, you're busy, like I have I don't know if you've ever played it, a TEW, which is a management simulator.
Oh no.
And you basically be any wrestling company in the world during any sort of era.
Okay.
I can click on that now. I guarantee it's Ring of Honor, and it's Ring of Honor. It's just, that is it. And so being able to work with Ring of Honor, design some stuff for Ring of Honor, them having, all my, having a fair amount of matches from Sunday's Shogun on their platform that's the most surreal thing. Having people like Davey Richards or Cody Rhodes messaging you and things like that, they're like, this is mental. But after a while, you kind of have to. They're just dudes as well. They're or girls as well, and they're nothing different to me or you. They are in a spotlight, which we're not in, and it's just that. But when you admire somebody, at first it's like, oh wow, and then after a while you're kind of like, okay, this is just the life and normal things you have to sort of get used to now. And there'll be still moments, I guess, like when Pac wrestled for us. I was a bit like, because I was a big Dragon Gate fan, and he brought the belt, and I was like, can I feel that belt? And he was super cool, but he's like, mate, this is so heavy, I feel it. And it was ridiculously heavy. And we were chatting about things, and after about 5 minutes, you're like, he's just like me or you. He's just in incredible shape, and he's a superstar. That's the difference. One of them.
Is that a little? That must be. I imagine it's a little intimidating. Just going over to chat to Pac, absolutely shredded.
Yeah, no, he was the nicest guy. Anyway, I mean, obviously the persona that it's a character, but he was one of the nicest guys. He'd been great with me. He'd leading up into that. He knew that I was relatively new in the industry. I think that was my third show or second show that he wrestled on. So it was like, wow, this is a huge opportunity. And he kept me informed all the way, sort of, he was talking to us for weeks, really. And then when you meet him, it was nothing but, it was superb, to be fair. But yeah, it was a little bit surreal. You've been watching this guy on the independent scene and then in WWE for years, and then he's like, he's in the hall you've just hired, and it's cool.
Yeah, incredible.
It's wrestling, man.
Yeah.
You don't get it anywhere else.
It's why we love it, isn't it? It's why we love it.
You can't run a Sunday League football team and then have Lionel Messi play for a day, and then the next week you've got, Harry Kane or whatever. Yeah. It doesn't happen. But this sort of stuff seems to happen. It's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. No, for sure. And a couple of things just before we wrap up that I wanted to bring up. Obviously, as a promoter, because you're the first sort of Brit Rest promoter we've been able to speak to at Grapple Theory. So something I wanted to speak about is obviously, you had the pandemic going on when you were setting up, and we talked about that. But obviously speaking out has had a huge impact on wrestling as well. As a new promotion, as a promoter, as someone who's promoted shows as well, how important is it now with wrestling coming back that promoters and wrestlers as well are sort of held accountable for their actions and making sure that Brit Rest stays safe now, rather than going back to sort of the heartbreaking stories we were hearing last summer?
I think it's not just British wrestling, it's sort of worldwide, really. I think you heard, these stories from everywhere, and it was just, it's heartbreaking. And, there's things that happened to me that I've not said anything about. I deal with sort of personal things differently. Not saying that that's right, because it isn't, but it's awful. It's awful to read. It's awful to see. It's awful to look at somebody that you admired, and then see or hear about things that they've done. And it was awful. I won't lie, it did get to the point where I'm like, I don't think I want to even be in this anymore. I did the sort of the shows, and I thought, you know what, I've actually achieved what I want. I don't think I'm going to do this. And then selfishly, I'm like, no, I think I need to do something. I need to try and help or can, or leave it a bit better, or something positive. You know, I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I don't smoke, I don't go out and do anything. I run a show. I literally will come home as quick as I can, even if I can get 10 minutes with my daughter and my wife. That's great. So for me, I'm never in any of these sort of situations. I don't see anything. So it's difficult for that. But I think what we need to all understand now, I think what's happening is people are speaking up. People are saying, no, this is enough. And they're going to each other, or they're going to somebody that they can trust, and that person is passing it on, and things are happening. And we just need to all stick together, everybody. And you look at social media as the biggest one. You know, we're attacking people left, right, and center all day, every day, and things like that need to change. That affects people's mental health. That's a, you know, that's is as bad, you know, in some senses. And we need to be protecting each other from that, as well as these abusive actions. And anybody that comes into wrestling, I think that you need to read the room and understand that you need to be putting in places, and need to be putting in policies, need to be putting in things that you're accountable for as well. You know, I have equity assigned to us. Now, equity are not to help me in any way. They are to help the performers, and they're to help the performers. That if Gary says we're going to do X, that we do X. And we all, I feel that we all should be doing something like that, and we should kind of go above and beyond to help people. I say, I've not experienced anything. I've not seen anything, but I've heard things, and it's difficult to act on those things all the time. And I'm just happy, in a way, I'm happy that a lot of this come out, because we've not drawn a line, because there's a lot of things that need to be done, but I think we're starting to rebuild that. And hopefully that people can rebuild trust with fans, with performers that felt that they wanted to leave before this sort of things came out. And same with fans, that since it's come out, I know it's difficult for a lot of fans to sort of feel that they can trust people again. And I completely understand that. I struggle a little bit sometimes too. And I just hope that the more that things go on, and the more shows are run, and more promotions and things like that, that time does heal and can heal, or certainly help as well. So yeah, it was awful for everybody, but it's more awful for the people that it happened to. And I think that we still need to understand that, and still try and help and support each other the best we can. We're all humans. As we've seen with a pandemic, tomorrow could be it. We could never have this anymore, and we need to do what we can for each other. It's just be nice to each other. I don't why we're not. Human nature, I guess.
No, brilliantly put. I totally agree. And something you mentioned there that we spoke, our next interview coming out on Sunday is with Debbie Cattell, and she mentioned it as well, about the fact that there was a big part of her that didn't want to come back, but came back because she wanted to make a difference, wanted to help that change. And you mentioned that as well, and that sort of must be nice to have seen, while it's obviously been so heartbreaking in recent months, seen that good in Brit Rest, that there are those good people that want to make a change and want to instigate difference, and even if it's tough for them to come back because of everything they've been through as well, they want to make a change so bad that they're willing to come back and help the scene and help it rebuild.
Yeah, it's we need those people, and we need people like yourselves. We need fans. I keep saying like people like, I'm a wrestling fan. I don't kind of see myself anything else, but we need people like that are positive, that are going to try and make a change, try and help each other. You know, if you see something, speak up. Absolutely. But there's ways to do it, and do it in the right forms, in the right ways. And this attacking each other online and attacking each other for things like those are just as bad. You know, mental health is such a huge thing going on at the moment. We need to be doing all we can to help people with that too. And I'm pleased. You know, people like Debbie have come back. We need people like that. I just hope that the end of 2021 and 2022, it's that rebuilding, and that there's some trust and support there better for everybody.
No, brilliantly put. Well said. And to sort of round things off, we mentioned your sort of like your dream booking, but for anyone who maybe is just getting into the Brit Rest scene or is watching in America and enjoys the scene over there but doesn't know much about Brit Rest, who are the guys and girls Brit Rest wise, whether they're on Wrestle Carnival or not, that in your mind are the ones to watch, the ones that people should be checking out, the ones that people should be looking out for? I know there's a big list. I know that's a tough question to whittle down.
I mean, I have an Excel spreadsheet, which is pretty full with names of people that I want to work with or send me stuff that I really enjoy. And there's a lot on there that I haven't put on there just because they're relatively sort of names. Let's go through a couple of companies quickly. Progress, Cara Noir, obviously. He's fantastic. I always go blank when I'm put on the spot with some of these things.
No, that's fine. Don't worry about
it. Ricky Knight Jr. is looking outstanding at the minute, which is fantastic. He's come. He's just great, and he's getting better and better. I really like the Young Guns, the tag team. I think they're great. Chris Ridgway, everybody should be watching. Giselle Shaw, everybody should be watching. Mercedes Blaze, Lizzie Evo. Big Guns Joe, he's not on my show. Wink. Charles Crowley is sort of he'll either I think he'll explode soon. Not physically, but
we hope not. Yeah,
he might not. He might rather. Jay Joshua, who worked for me in the last show, is going to be working for me each scene as well. He is someone that I think, if you like technical style, he's someone to really keep an eye on. I think Joe Hendry is coming back with a new look on Sunday. Nobody has seen him. It's going to be his first show. He's going to be awesome as well. Will Cruz looks incredible. I think it's three championships he's got at the moment. He's going to be insane. And I feel bad if I miss anybody, and I don't mean it, but when you're on the spot,
I totally get it. I totally get it.
There is so many. Brady Phillips, Ivy, Chantel Jordynne, Spike Gervais.
We could go on for hours, couldn't we?
Dan Maloney, I could go Sean Custom. I mean, I could just keep going and going. There's so many, and this is what annoys me when people think that Brit Wrestling's dead or British wrestling isn't what it used to be, and it's been a lot worse than this.
Oh yeah, you look at all that talent you just mentioned, and the ones we could still list off.
Yeah, there's honestly so many. Adam Mack's dead, still going. I understand that people feel with the pandemic you won't get as many inputs. And I think that people used to go to shows for those inputs, and rightfully so, I understand that. But there is so many people in the UK that could be built up now and that could be going on to a Ring of Honor, AEW, Impact, NWA, WWE if they want to go there, or NXT UK. There's just so much potential for everybody. And now it's time for these. Charlie Sterling, Charly Morgan, Jetta, Alex Windsor, I'm forgetting people, and now they're coming back. Charlie Sterling. I mean, I've said before, like he's just exploded.
Recently,
and maybe the last 18 months he wasn't on a lot, and now he's everywhere. And it's just you get an opportunity. Once you get an opportunity on the show and somebody sees you, that's it. There's just so many. Independent wise in America, I mean, we'd
be here another 3 hours, wouldn't we?
Yeah. There's just so many people around. It's great to be a wrestling fan. It's a great time if you're a independent wrestling fan, such as myself. I don't watch too much of sort of the bigger companies anymore, to be fair. But yeah, it's just a great time to be a wrestling fan in general, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's round it off with a bit of just a final promo from yourself. If anyone's watching this, and first of all, if you've watched this far, thank you very much. But if anyone's watched the end here and is thinking about checking out Wrestle Carnival or doesn't really know about you guys, but might check out a show, what would you say to get them down? What would you say to get them to come along to a show?
So it's a wrestling variety. So it's a variety wrestling show. We'll have a little bit for everything, for everyone. You like comedy, we'll have comedy. You like big characters, we'll have that. You like pure technical wrestling, we'll certainly have that. You like big guys just going toe-to-toe, we'll have that. You like girls just going toe-to-toe, we'll have that. You like female wrestling? We'll have that. Tag team, yeah, we've got that too. We'll make you laugh. Hopefully don't make you cry, but you never know. It is exactly that. I want to bring a variety to the shows. I understand that everybody does that, but we're selling it as variety, and we're giving you something all the time. We're going to give you a bit of comedy. We'll give you a submissions match or a pure rules match. We'll have stuff on Ring of Honor. We may have stuff on other people. We'll have Shimmer title on the line. There's just a nice variety of lots of different things, characters, people. It's a family atmosphere. I'll probably, if you come to a show and you're standing up, I apologise now, but I'll ask you about 14 times if you want a chair. It's just kind of how I am. We literally just want to have fun. I want to put on 3 hours of entertainment so you can forget about what's happened that week or cap off a great week. Forget about what's happened in the last 18 months. Or again, cap off something that's great that's been happening in your life, and you kind of come and have some fun. And that's for people that can come to the show. If you're overseas, we have a Patreon that you can subscribe to, which will have all of our events on. We'll throw a few free matches on YouTube. And also we're on IWTV, which is great as well. As platform I was really keen to get on. So yeah, I mean, check us out. If you don't like it, hey, that's fine. Yeah, there's so much wrestling out there. Just go be a wrestling fan. Please be a positive wrestling fan. But support independent wrestling. That's the most important thing for me.
Fab. Gary, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Brilliant. No, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
And thanks for, I know you're insanely busy, so thanks for taking the time out. Brilliant. Well, no, yeah, I'll let you go on with your busy day, but thanks so much again for your time, and I'll pop you a message before this goes out.
All right, thank you, mate.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, mate.
Cheers.
Have a great day.
Right. Take
Cheers.
care.
See you later.
Mate.
Bye.
Bye-bye.